What is going on, everybody? Today we're going to be reacting to another Atozy video. I've been actually enjoying his content lately, and this video just came out 15 minutes ago. So, gamer sued police for $176 million swatting disaster. A lot of money, by the way, and I wonder what caused all this. So, let's find out. Grab some snacks, relax. I hope you guys do enjoy.
So this gamer is now suing the police for $176 million after a Rust swatting disaster. So essentially this 20
Rust the game? That's the only thing that seems familiar. I mean, it did say gamer. Okay, so I'm gonna put my hypothetical. Someone on Rust, this guy that is suing probably beat someone on Rust and probably got a hold of his address and called SWAT and with something bad
4-year-old
happening.
is saying that the
That's
police
my
just
hypothetical.
ignored every single warning from him that this was a
sorry.
swatting and is now demanding $176 million from them because this incident left him paralyzed. So imagine you're just playing a video game, some random person gets access to your personal information, and then he starts threatening to send the cops to your house. And I feel like a lot of people...
you a piece of shit. You a piece of shit. If you are one of those gamers that actually just gets mad at a game so bad that you have to call the police on someone that beat you, you are a actual fucking loser. You need to get off the fucking game. Never play that shit again. That game is not for you. I'm just saying. That's just my opinion. I get that it's a competitive game. I get that Rust is very toxic because once you die, you lose everything. Basically, you lose everything. You have to start completely fresh. It's like hardcore. But like I'm going by any competitive. If you are, I get that it's a competitive game. Competitive games are supposed to be competitive. Yeah, I get that. But if you are not, if you're being competitive and there's no like tournament or money on the line, why are you getting so serious over a game? That's just my take. If there's no tournament, no money on the line, why are you getting so fucking frustrated? And even in tournaments, you don't even have to do that. You just cry about it and move on. There's no need for you to call the fucking police or call SWAT team to SWAT someone, because you're basically just being a criminal at that point. You're basically just being a criminal because you're putting someone else's life in danger for no fucking reason because you got so mad over a game. That is just my opinion. My opinion is if you would just get mad over a game, just call it quits.
People, especially the people who've grown up in Call of Duty lobbies, Counter-Strike lobbies, Halo
Yeah,
lobbies,
all
and
those
so on and
games
so on, and Rust,
competitive
obviously.
games.
This is the game that we're talking about today. They are aware that there's a lot of empty threats. There's a lot of just people saying stuff to get under your skin. But apparently Axel here, he was quite smart. He realized, okay, there is some seriousness behind this threat. I should probably take this pretty seriously. So he actually called the police and said, hey, someone's threatening to swat me on this video game here. So according to a notice of claim filed against Pima County, this all started on April 8th while Axel was playing a survival game called Rust. Someone on the server asked to inspect his computer to make sure he wasn't cheating. Axel then agreed, and that decision apparently turned into an app.
Oh no. Did he do that? Did he gave that random stranger access to his computer? No, don't tell me. That's bad. Please tell me no.
So first warning number 1, never give any stranger access to your computer, ever. Never give any stranger online any personal information. But regardless, soon after, unfortunately, Axel started getting alerts that someone was accessing several of
that should be the most base, smart thing to never do, but There are people that fall for it.
His accounts. According to his attorneys, hackers had gotten into his email, stolen personal information and passwords, and started demanding money. So Axel didn't want to pay him, and then the threats got even worse. They then threatened to falsely report that he had a bomb, sending police to his house, and even contacting immigration authorities about his family because of his...
See, that the person who got access is a piece of fucking shit. That's a shitty fucking gamer. That's not even a gamer. You're just a criminal. You're just a criminal at this point. You're not even in the gaming community, in my opinion. That is horrible. You are a fucked up human being. That is so fucking sad, dude. And it might not even be him. He might have just gave, but I'm pretty sure it's the person that asked for the access. The person who got mad. That is fucked up, dude. Oh my god. So fucking sick.
Hispanic last name. And this is despite him and his family being US citizens. So Axel called 911 and he explained what happened. And he also warned them that these people have his address and they were threatening to create a fake emergency that could send armed police to his house. And according to audio obtained by the family, the dispatcher responded, "But they can't just call SWAT on you. That's not how that works." Well, apparently they're not aware of how all this works. That's crazy to me. How can a dispatcher not be aware of swatting? Like, this is a massive problem, and it's been a massive problem in the US for a long time. So how are you a 911?
Yeah, that is actually true. We do have a big problem on that, especially on online gaming or just in, like, anyone who gets mad at you on the internet. Yeah, it's a very big problem. Because there's been so many streamers that have gotten swatted in the US, and it really does need to be taken more seriously, because it needs to get, I think it really does need to get changed.
One dispatcher and you're not even aware of how swatting works. This is crazy. But then, in quote, she says, "Nothing's going to happen." And I mean, that would be pretty comforting to hear until SWAT kicks in your door, because now, 2 days later, on April 10th, somebody pretending to be Axel contacted authorities and claimed that Axel's father had shot his sister. And there were red flags all over this call. So for starters, the person reportedly didn't even call 911. They called 311, which is the non-emergency line. Axel's attorney, Dev Sethi, later pointed out
nobody... What the fuck is 311? This is the first time I've ever heard of this. What's 311? He said it's for not emergencies. Then what's the fucking point of calling 311?
Reporting an emergency calls 311. The caller was also using an out-of-state number.
Hold on. What does it say? Nobody reporting an emergency calls 311. Oh.
He calls 311. The caller was also using an out-of-state number, mispronounced Axel's first name, and gave inconsistent information about what was supposedly happening inside the house. And according to the notice of claim, this wasn't even his first suspicious report connected to Axel's address. So it says PCSD had already received, recognized, and cleared false reports for Axel at the same residence that also came through 311. Because remember, Axel called the police himself 2 days earlier and specifically warned them about hackers were trying to do this to him. And apparently that warning wasn't even some buried piece of information that no one could have known about, because according to the claim, a deputy actually mentioned the previous fake call over the radio while officers were heading to Axel's house. So at that point, police have a guy who had warned them that, hey, I might be targeted for a swatting attack. And then you had a previous false report connected to the same address, and then you had a supposed emergency being reported through a non-emergency line, an out-of-state caller giving inconsistent information, and then a deputy raising the possibility that this could be another swatting. But deputies still decided to approach this house as if everything was real. And according to Axel's attorneys, they didn't call him before entering. Instead, deputies tried the door, and then they decided to go through Axel's bedroom window. Imagine sitting there playing Rust, and then to have SWAT officers jump through your window. So this guy is currently going through a full-on nightmare mode. I mean, people have stolen his information. He's already been paranoid. He's called the police multiple times saying, hey, they're threatening to swat me. And then suddenly they jump through your window. But it gets so much worse, because according to Axel's attorneys, Axel thought someone was breaking into his house. You know, that would be very natural if someone jumps through your window. So he ran to wake up his mom and grabbed her legally registered firearm. And then he took cover behind his bedroom door, and this is where things go seriously wrong, because deputies then saw him and opened fire. And according to the notice of claim, 13
Oh
deputies
my
are named in this case,
God.
and 8 shots were fired. At least 2 hit Axel, 1 struck him in the right thigh, and another one in the left shoulder. His right leg was shattered, his rib
He got shot. Oh my God. I mean, he's not wrong. The person who got swatted is not in the wrong. Like, I would think the same thing too. Like, it's not normal. It's not normal to go through a fucking window. Oh my God. That is fucked up, man. Whoever that person stole his information and just threatened him like that, you are a fucked up person. You are really fucked up. Like, you need to be locked up. Like, now. You need to be locked up. Like, that is not even kidding. That's serious. I could see where he deserves 176 million. Holy shit. Poor guy, man. That is really sad. That is absolutely sad. How are you just gonna... How can you be so cruel? A person on Rust was like, I need to see your screen. I need to gain access to your screen to make sure that you are not hacking. And just immediately just hacked into his system. Now, obviously, I think it's the one guy's fault. The guy that got swatted. That was kind of his fault on that. Because any sane person should know that it's already a red flag right there to do such a thing. But still, man, the person on the other side, you don't know what they can do, and this is a great example. This is a amazing example, but this is really fucking sad, man. I hope this person... I don't know if this
were
person's
broken,
going to recover.
and the bullet that
I
struck
hope
his
he
upper
does
body
recover.
caused a spinal cord injury that, according to his attorneys, left a 24-year-old paralyzed from the chest down. And this is all because someone on the internet wanted to punish him over a video game. But this is also, I guess, kind of where the story becomes a little bit more complicated than just swatter guy bad for swatting someone online. Because, you know, Axel went way out of his way to warn the police about this. So this is also a complete failure on the police. But regardless, I mean, whoever swatted him absolutely deserves the charge of attempted murder, because that's what this is. Axel's attorneys, they aren't arguing that police had absolutely no reason to believe there could be danger inside that house. They're arguing that police had been handed information before and during their response suggesting the opposite. And that's why Axel and his mother are now demanding $176 million from Pima County and the sheriff's department. And their attorneys are basically saying, Axel did the one thing you do when everyone tells you that you're in danger. He called the police. Then 2 days later, they jump through his window and attack him. So Axel and his mother filed a notice of claim, which is essentially a step you have to do before you sue a public entity in Arizona. And the claim names Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos, 13 deputies, and other county officials, and accuses the department.
Will he ever recover? Usually some people will get temporarily paralyzed, but it said that it hit his spine. Is there a possibility? Somewhere around his spine, I believe, but is there a possibility that he can recover? I don't know how he is. I don't know how he's doing, because I don't know if this is
of negligence and reckless decision-making. And his attorney, Dev Sethi, put it this way: he did everything we teach our kids to do. When you're in danger, when someone's threatening you, what is the first thing you do? Well, you call the police. And that's what makes this case so disturbing and infuriating at the same time, because by the book, this guy did everything right after his mistake of giving up his information to a hacker. Never give access to your computer to anyone online. But regardless, at the end of the day, the police allowed themselves to be weaponized against this man here now. So this is a complete failure on the Pima County Police Department. And it's so sad that swatting is just becoming more and more regular. I mean, just a few months ago, you had an 83-year-old streamer by the name of Sue Jacot, better known as Grandma Crackers, and she was recently swatted as well. And there, police showed up with about 20...
there's another streamer that got swatted. It is very, very common in the U.S. because people can't fucking handle, like, getting criticized. I have to think about it. Getting criticized, or can't handle that they got beaten over a game. And that leads to them, or even just an opinion. People get swatted for opinions. It is very, very bad. Like, really do need to, like, police need to step up the game on this, man. This is really, really sad.
Police cars, 5 SWAT officers, and drones after someone falsely claimed that her grandson Jack had shot her. And this is all while her grandson Jack was going through chemotherapy and recovering from cancer. But thankfully, I mean, that situation ended with no one actually getting injured. And there was also a very big difference at what happened at Sue's house compared to what happened at Axel's house. Because police reportedly called Sue's home 3 times before they arrived. So they had a chance to communicate with the people inside before suddenly smashing their way into the home. So apparently in Sue's case, she even enjoyed it a little bit.
Let me tell you about my swatting experience. I was asleep. I was so asleep, I did not want to get up. And these policemen came in the door. The prettiest policewoman I've ever seen. The beautiful eyes, so sweet. But I think she could kick butt if she needed to. And they walked me out. I didn't know what was going on. But it was kind of fun.
And look at him smiling. He's like, yes. What the fuck?
But unfortunately, I mean, like, Sue and Axel are nowhere near the only people having to deal with this. This is such a regular occurrence now that they absolutely have to have systems in place for this. Because another person who's been through this is a guy by the name of Ned Luke. Luke has reportedly been swatted multiple times while streaming, including an incident on Thanksgiving in 2023. And here, he had to abruptly end his stream due to a phone call.
Hello.
Yep.
And what?
It's very, very, very common.
Nice. All right, I'll be out there. All right, I gotta go. Now these assholes have swatted my house, so I've gotta go. All right, have a good one.
But in that case, thankfully, authorities actually caught the person who was responsible for it all. And in June of this year, Luke announced that the swatter had been sentenced to 4 years in prison, which honestly is not enough. Like, swatters need to be punished heavily. But regardless, this does show there can absolutely be consequences for people who do swatting. And thankfully, the FBI is starting to acknowledge how dangerous all this really is. So the FBI director came out and said, hey, there's an alarming rise in this. And he said, in quote, weaponizing law enforcement against any American is not only morally reprehensible, but also endangers lives, including those of our officers. And he also added that the FBI is working with local law enforcement to crack down on these crimes. So that brings us back to the case with Axel, because he's accusing the sheriff department of completely ignoring all of the warnings that he gave them. And apparently this isn't the only bad situation the sheriff's department is currently dealing with, because they also were at the head of the investigation revolving Nancy Guthrie, who is the 84-year-old mother of Today anchor Savannah Guthrie. If you're a true crime person, you might know about this right now, but basically, Nancy disappeared from her Tucson home around February 1st, and more than 6 months later now, she still hasn't been found. So the police department has been on the news a fair bit, giving updates on that case. And completely separately from Nancy's disappearance, now they're being sued for $176 million. But then on top of that, a guy by the name of Carlos Pasulas and 2 members of his family announced plans to seek $3.25 million after deputies raided his home and arrested him during the whole Guthrie investigation. Pasulas says that he was arrested at gunpoint, detained for 7 to 8 hours without being charged, and eventually released in a town about an hour south of Tucson. They just dropped him off somewhere? If you falsely pick up someone from their house, the least you can do is give them a ride home back to their house. I feel like you learn those basics from your school library. When you pick something up, you return it back to the area you found it in. But then, Nanas was also named in a separate $25 million federal civil rights lawsuit filed by Pima County's jail inmate, Stephen Kenneth Fox, although that case has since been dismissed by a federal judge. I don't know, I think it's just crazy how much hot water this police department is currently in. But overall, they have declined to comment on this recent case due to pending litigation. But at the end of the day, Axel is 24 years old and he's now paralyzed from the waist down. No matter how much money he gets, that's not going to be able to change that really. And his attorney, Dev Sethi, says that Axel's health, his independence, and his ability to earn a living his sense of security, that's all been stolen away from him. At the end of the day, there's kind of two separate issues here. One, the person who swatted him, put him under the jail. Two, the police department. This was a complete failure on them. So he was failed. So now he wants $176 million as restitution for this. So I guess we just kind of have to wait around and see what happens with this case. And yes, I'm currently traveling now, hence why I'm in kind of a different location for each video now, but we'll be back home soon. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Wow. That is fucking crazy. You have to be a literal psychopath or sociopath, whatever the fucking word is for that. Oh my god. I don't know what this guy... I need to figure out what this guy is. I need to figure out, is he paralyzed for life? Just imagine that. Just, it's still kind of his fault for handing his information, but at the same time, he freaking that guy on the other side just destroyed this man. That is so fucking sad. Absolutely mind blown. I did not know it was gonna be this bad.
Reporting an emergency calls.
I need to look. What's his name? Axial. Is he paralyzed? I think I said for life. Axial Melendez suffered a T4. I guess that's tier 4 or T. Well, I don't know what T4 stands for. Spinal cord injury, which is paralyzed from the chest down. While his legal team states that injury is permanent, medical prognosis updates for long-term recovery depend on ongoing clinical evaluations. So there is a possibility that he could be permanent from this, but there's also a possibility that he could actually, it'll take a long time for him to recover if he's gonna keep going to the clinic and keep checking up or something. The injury sustained, T4 spinal cord injury, paralysis from the chest down, broken ribs, and shattering legs. The case details, that's what it says. That is fucking crazy, man. I hope he actually does recover, because if it's permanent, I feel really, really bad. That's a really, really sad thing. Oh my god. W video, but at the same time, I'm feeling like this is gonna be my PSA for everyone. Don't trust anyone online that you just meet on a game. Do not give any personal information or access to your computer. That is just my thing. Do not do that. Do not do it, please. This could possibly happen to you. Not paralyzed, but it could possibly get you in serious threats and stuff like that. It is very, very bad. I think everyone should have the common sense to know that, but there's some people who just fall for it, and that leads to problems like this. And even though your information can be very, very easy, hard to access, but at the same time, it can be easy to access if people dig deeper online. And that is something that people need to watch out for, because random people or random haters can actually just access your information online and sell it on dark web or whatever. I don't have a sponsor for it. If I did have a sponsor, I would tell y'all to help that, but unfortunately, I can't help you on that. But please have the common sense to know that do not trust anyone online when it comes to handing over information. It is really, really bad. Even gaining access to your computer can also lead to bad problems. My PSA: do not trust anyone online with even with your private information. Don't trust. It could be a scammer. It can be someone that absolutely just wants to threaten you and ruin your life. It is very, very bad. Please do not. Please don't. Please don't. I'm worried for your safety, and I'm hoping that this guy can actually recover from his injury. If just I'm just hoping, I'm praying, I'm hoping the Lord. This is a very, that was a very, that was a bad, I want to say it was very bad for him to do that, but at the same time, I really hope that he recovers. And hopefully he wins that lawsuit. $176 million. He freaking deserves it for what he went through. I really appreciate people joining in on or watching this video. I hope you guys did enjoy it, but give prayers to this person with how he's doing and stuff. I'm hoping that he recovers. Send some prayers to the family and stuff. Really appreciate y'all sticking by, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.